let's get into our movies.
Let's get into our movies. Again, you may not agree with us, but that's fine. There's definitely some generational gaps here. Let's go over yours first.
Okay.
Well, first off, number one, you and I both agreed on. Now, I'm going to go through this list because we do have people listening on Spotify. If you're watching on YouTube, you obviously see these here, but we're going to go line by line on these just for the listeners we have elsewhere. You and I both agree Rocky at number one.
Greatest movie about sports ever made. It is so good. It is so good that people actually think Rocky was a real fighter.
They do. They do. And Rocky 2 is great as well. Rocky 1 to me is number one because Rocky doesn't win.
Right.
And it's very much a life story of, you're not going to always win the battles that you're in, but as long as you keep getting back up after you get knocked down, you can never lose.
And honestly, I can put a lot of the Rocky movies on the list, especially Rocky Balboa, which I think was a perfect ending to the series. Creed took it to the next level. Rocky 5 should never even be considered a movie because it was never made. But Rocky was just so raw. And the way they had to film it, the filming and technology got better as they went along. Just the raw quality about the original Rocky, I loved it. My favorite movie.
I agree. And then that's pretty much the last time you and I agree. To go through your list here, number two, you have Bull Durham as your number two. And I know why, but let the people know.
Yeah, you tell me why.
You were in the minor leagues. I get it.
It is the greatest. It was the most accurate movie about life in the minor leagues ever made. I actually did flood a field. Because I didn't want to have to be there the next day. Traveling on the bus, all those stories. It's a great movie. It was so well done. Probably one of the greatest speeches in there when Costner did the soliloquy about what he believes in.
Yep.
I love the movie.
It's a great movie. Didn't make my list of top 10.
What?
I don't have it. I don't have it on my list of top 10.
It's one of the greatest sports movies of all time. Especially any movie that's got the catcher that goes out there, and pitchers are. Sorry, guys. Pitchers are idiots. They have great arms and great physical ability. The catchers are the ones with the brain.
That's his opinion. His opinion has nothing to do with me.
It's accurate. Listen to your catcher, and you're not going to get in trouble. Did Nuke LaRouche, I always screw up his name, did he listen to him? No. So what does Crash Davis do? He goes behind the ball, tells the batter what pitch is coming.
Great movie. Hits it off.
Great movie.
It's a great movie. But again, if we're going to the stipulation of I'm flipping through channels, am I going to stop and watch it? It's just not a movie I sit and watch the whole thing through.
I obviously dropped
it's not my number two is Remember the Titans.
Great movie.
I mean, that was the movie of my childhood when it came to sports. It's an unbelievable movie of coming together, getting over adversity, and just using football. You want to be angry? That's fine. There's a place for it. And let's take it out on the football field and win. Yeah,
and it shows how, as you said, teams have to come together. The coaches had to come together based on a true story.
Right.
I love the movie.
And it's something I think we need to watch still today in society. I mean, because like the movie said, it was easy to come together in camp, right? It's just you guys here. That's easy. Now you have to come together when society's looking at you and telling you it's wrong. And I think that fits today more than anything. Like, we can come together as one. We're all people.
Right.
And we need to put whatever our thoughts are behind and see them as people, feel empathy for what others are going through. And Remember the Titans is a movie to me that if it's on,
and I watch it,
not changing.
It's number 10 on my list as a tie. It epitomized Dr. King's statement about you judge your brothers by the character and not by the color.
Yep. And the content of the character, not by the color.
Absolutely.
I love that speech. It's one of my all-time favorite speeches.
And that movie defined it. Yes, it does.
It does. Your number 3, Field of Dreams. Field of Dreams is on my list at number 8. You have it a lot higher than I do.
Look, I am not going to even pretend that I don't have a baseball bias, because I do. Love the sport.
Everybody can tell.
Yeah, you think? Field of Dreams, one of the greatest fantasy movies of all time. The field is still in in Iowa. They played a game there last year.
Oh, how cool is that?
That was just brilliant.
I was surprised because we've been there a couple of times. I was surprised when I first went there as a kid how short that field was. I mean, it's a Little League field.
It is, but, well, movie magic.
Yeah.
And that's why they had to build the one they played on, just so everybody knows they actually didn't play the game last year on the Field of Dreams. They had built a new diamond next door to it.
And they showed that.
And it's just such a great movie from beginning to end, no matter where it is in there. Again, another great speech when my mind just went blank. James Earl Jones talks about how baseball has marked the passage of time in America. Love that movie.
It has. Well, and the greatest thing about it is, and I think what a lot of people don't catch, is that movie's about a father and son. Mm-hmm. That whole movie, that whole build-up, and you and I went through that.
Yeah, we did.
That's why it is a special movie to me, especially you and I had a couple of rough years, where we fell apart a little bit and came back together, and it's never too late to have a catch with your dad. And that's what this show is for us. For anybody watching, that's what this show is. This is us saying, the pandemic, especially my health scares, taught me a lot, and maybe I'll have to move it up at this point, but it taught me a lot that life's too short. And this show, we came together and said it's never too late to have a catch with your dad. And that's where the creation of this show came from.
And I've had people who I've seen the show who go, "Oh, it's great that you've got such a great relationship with your son, and we can tell you're having fun." Well, it always wasn't that way. We'll get into some of the stuff that I went through and why we fell apart in a later episode, but
it doesn't matter. We both need second chances for different things.
It was life.
But again, that's what's so great about Field of Dreams is it's never too late to have a catch with your dad. And anybody watching this show, that's what this is for us.
It is.
It's never too late, and so we decided to create this show together because this is what always has bonded us as sports. So again, thank you for joining in because this is awesome for us.
Move on quickly.
I don't know. You get misty-eyed?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit here too. I watch Field of Dreams now. My number 3 is Hoosiers. I don't know how Hoosiers isn't higher on your list. It was a question for my number 1. Hoosiers, I stopped. I watched the movie.
I love the movie. Gene Hackman was brilliant in the movie. Again, another one that was based on a true story. Shows how important basketball is in Indiana. I love the movie. I mean, there's so many of these that could have been 1A, 1B, 1C. But
he tried to make this list 15, and I said no. You can't have every movie on here. Hoosiers is my number 3. Hoosiers is your number 5. Hoosiers is such a good movie.
It is. It's my favorite part of the movie is when Gene Hackman is out talking to the kid who's just shooting Jimmy. He's out there. God, my mind is just going. I need to start taking something for a focus factor. But he's out there talking to him, and I love at the end of it where Jimmy has made like 10 or 15 shots in a row, and he looks at him and goes, "And by the way, I don't care if you play or not."
Did you know, I watched the behind the scenes, and anybody who's seen that movie and loves as much as I do has watched the documentary on it, but when he's making all those shots, the actor who played Jimmy says, I didn't hear a thing that he said. I was so focused on making those shots, I didn't listen to it. It was a single take.
Yeah, that I knew.
And he wasn't listening to them, and then he heard the last line when they stopped, which is, I don't care if you play or not. He said it was such a powerful line. That's why I missed that next one. I was so focused on that line, and I missed that next one because of it.
That's awesome.
Great movie. My number 3. Number 4, you and I agree on, Major League. I got Joe Boo right up here.
I love that movie. Charlie Sheen's greatest movie. Tom Berenger as a catcher coming out of the Mexican League. There is nothing not to love. It is close to being the greatest baseball movie ever made. I don't like the remakes. I know they're talking about doing some kind of a sequel to it at this point.
The second one wasn't bad. The second one didn't work out because Wesley Snipes didn't film it.
You needed Wesley Snipes. And what is the single best part of that movie? Bob Uecker. Bob Uecker, who basically came in and ad-libbed every single bit of his dialogue, and he was just awesome.
Who cares? Nobody's listening anyways.
Yeah, that's right.
Great movie. I'm with you. Number 4. You could have been there the night of the filming. You were in Milwaukee when they were filming.
Well, no, your mom and I lived in Jefferson actually when that was being filmed. I had to work, and they were filming most of this.
It's not an excuse.
After 1:00 in the morning, after the Brewers game was done, I had to work.
It's not an excuse.
I know. I should. Oh, it's one of those things. If I had them to do over again, we absolutely would have been there when that was filming.
Funny with that movie too. You don't see anybody in Indians gear there. One, because it was filmed in Milwaukee.
True.
Number 2, it was at 2 a.m. People are in their pajamas going to sit in the stands at County Stadium.
And I've heard people complain, well, you can see WTMJ, which is a Milwaukee TV station. Who cares?
Nobody knows that.
No. And that's why, quite honestly, the Indians are almost like a second team to Milwaukee. And they played here a couple times. They played here when they were being snowed out in Cleveland at the beginning of the season.
They sold out.
So Major League is an easy choice for me. I love the movie, just a bit outside.
It's still the greatest baseball call of all time and is made in every baseball game when a pitcher misses badly.
There are so many lines from that movie that you just start to, and we should do a movie with just going how many quotes and going back and forth.
One person that never gets credit, and I don't have it on my list because I didn't think about it because I may have put it on, is in the Rookie of the Year, John Candy being the announcer on the Rookie of the Year.
Wow.
He had a lot of good calls.
He did. He did, but he's not Euchre.
He's not Euchre, but definitely one of the best movie announcers of baseball ever, and I thought was great. And I want to give John Candy the credit for being a great announcer.
He was a great announcer
as well. I should have had that one on my list, but oh well. Number 5 for you is Hoosiers.
By the way, Rookie of the Year was in my honorable mentions. So if you would have let me go to 15, we could have done that.
You can't go 15. Top 10. You have Hoosiers as your number 5. I have Dodgeball. You don't even have Dodgeball on your list.
No. Dodgeball, a good movie. I like the movie. It's got one of the greatest lines ever. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
It's such a good movie.
It is. And Vince Vaughn was great in it. And
it's Vince Vaughn and Ben Stiller at their best.
Yes. But certainly not one of the greatest sports movies of all time. Dodgeball wasn't even. I will give it credit. Dodgeball became a sport after that movie. I mean, we all did it in grade school. Growing up, when I did, it was like target practice for those of us that weren't as big as some of the other kids. These bigger kids would just rifle the ball at you.
They had. I'll never forget. I was there when they made that change from rubber balls. It was when I was in high school gym class. Is when they're like, "Hey guys, we're no longer using rubber balls. Here's foam balls." But I tell you, the kids, especially that were on the baseball team, they could still whip those things.
I could throw it. I could throw it really well. And I had welts, and I was left with welts from time to time.
I was given marks from these foam balls. I tell you, when somebody strong gets behind those things fly. And those things have spin on them, too.
They leave welts. But
I love Dodgeball.
Okay.
I think it's one of the best sports movies. My number
It's not a sport. It's not a sport, though.
People call NASCAR and bowling a sport.
Okay.
Dodgeball's a sport. If golf's a sport, dodgeball's a sport.
Golf is a sport. Dodgeball is a game. It's like chess.
No, dodgeball's a sports movie. Period.
Move on.
Purple Cobras.
It's just ridiculous.
Number 6, how do you not have Rudy on your list? You don't have Rudy on your list.
It's another one that I thought about. It was a great movie. I guess having listened to Mike Golick kind of say that it's not even close to the truth. I love the movie. Sean Astin was great in that movie.
Jinx.
Yeah.
He was unbelievable in that movie. It was such a good movie.
It was.
I don't care if it's all fake.
You know the one we both forgot? Now that I'm thinking about it, we both forgot Cool Runnings.
I thought of Cool Runnings.
Did you?
I did. I love the movie. It's not a top 10 sports movie of all time.
No, but the Jamaican bobsled team should get some credit.
Yeah, I agree. Another movie that's completely fictional, speaking of, but still amazing.
They were in the Olympics. Go on.
We're in the Olympics. You had League of Their Own as your number 6. I have it on my list. It's number 9 for me.
just a well-done movie and a great movie about a real time in history, World War II, when all the men were off fighting. Correct. The women played, and they played a good brand of baseball. There's still some of the stadiums are still standing in places like Kenosha and Racine.
Yeah.
And
Rockford's still there?
Rockford's still there. It just was very well done. The actresses they got, Gina Davis, Madonna, Rosie O'Donnell was great in that movie. It was just a very, very well-produced movie. I think Penny Marshall was the director of the movie. Tom Hanks was brilliant in the movie.
Role for him.
Oh, my God.
Did you know that Deborah Winger was supposed to play Gina Davis's character?
Glad she didn't.
She went through 3 months of training with the Chicago Cubs to get prepared for that movie.
Gina Davis was perfect in that movie.
Madonna came on, and she said the movie was changing too much and went away too much from the women's baseball, and so she dropped out. But yeah, Deborah Winger was originally cast in that movie, and she would have been great. It would have been a different movie.
It would have been different. I mean, my favorite line in the movie, of course, was when Tom Hanks looks and asks the umpire if that was a... I'll just leave the line out there in the ether.
There's no crying in baseball.
No crying in baseball is
still the movie from that line, but the subplots in League of
still the movie from that line.
Still the movie from that. What is happening today? Still the line from that movie everybody remembers. Thank you for catching that.
Sure.
Jeez, again, mouth too quick for brain. Doesn't work well. Jeez.
It was an easy choice for me. I almost had it. I actually switched Hoosiers in the League of Their Own. It was almost a top 5 movie for me.
It is definitely a good argument for it. Well, the subplots in League of Their Own.
Yes.
As well. I mean, Tom Hanks overcoming his alcohol addiction. Gina Davis having to deal with, I love this, but coming to the realization, this isn't what I wanted to do with the rest of my life.
Different time. It was like, well, the guys come. It's what the owner of the team said. Are we going to not let the men coming back from war play?
Right.
Gary Marshall played that role. It was a great movie about a specific time in our history. It was really the time where women went out to work for the first time.
Right.
They weren't, and so I love it.
Movie.
And my parents my parents were newly married at that point in time, so it hits close to home for me.
Your number 7 is Caddyshack. I don't have Caddyshack on my list.
The argument about Caddyshack is always, is it really a movie about sports, or is it a comedy that just has sports in it?
You could make any sport in that movie, and it's the same movie.
You can, but...
It's a great movie.
Talk about the lines from that movie.
Bill Murray is my favorite Bill Murray role.
It's in the hole. And it's a
great movie.
There is not a golfer who has ever existed who doesn't quote that movie when they're out on the course at least once.
I agree. I fall into that as well.
No. Anyways.
It's a great movie. I don't have it on my list. I think there are better movies than that when it comes to sports. And crucify me in the comments below. I know it's coming. I'm going to be crucified for this, but I just don't have Caddyshack in my top 10. There are people that have it at number 1. I definitely don't have it at number 1.
Close.
If I had a 15, it'd be my top 15, but it's not in my top 10.
It's a top 10 movie, and you deserve to be crucified for not
number
having
7
it there.
For me, and maybe this is a generational thing because you don't have this on your list, but The Sandlot.
You're killing me, Smalls.
I mean, talk about a great movie that's from a time when you grew up.
Yeah, it was. And I did that. I mean, we went over...
It's 100% based on the time when you've been a kid.
We went over to the railroad lot, and we were always playing there. And if we hit it too far and got it up by the railroad tracks, that ball was gone.
Mm-hmm.
So I love the movie from that time. Wasn't in my top 10, though.
Again, James Earl Jones sports movie.
Mm-hmm. It's a great movie.
It is a great movie. Who's Baby Ruth?
Oh, my God. Speaking of that, I don't know if you ever saw the episode of Antiques Roadshow where a guy brought in a ball that didn't only have Babe Ruth. It had the entire 1927 Yankees team, coaches and all autographed on it. And they quoted him like it was worth $5,000 or $10,000.
They said it was $100,000 because I went back and watched the episode.
They did say $100,000.
$200,000.
I thought that was the one that they said wasn't worth as much. That's what I remember.
A lady brought in an autographed Babe Ruth baseball, and the dude was clearly trying to buy it from her and rip her off.
Yeah, that was okay. Thanks for the clarification.
But even that, though, the guy was trying to rip him off for saying it was worth between $100,000 and $200,000. That's a $3 million ball.
Now it is, I think. If anybody's an auctioneer, let us know what is that type of a ball would be worth. And the signatures on it were all still legible.
Yeah.
And literally it sat in the guy's grandfather's sock drawer, just like the Sandlot. And it just got passed down to him, and they found it. What I'd give to have that I'd never sell it, but
I would. 2 seconds flat.
I don't think I can part with that.
That's fair. My number 8 is Field of Dreams. You had that at 3. I put it at 8, like I said. Your number 8, great movie. I don't have it in my top 10. I almost did. It's probably my number 11. But you had North Dallas 40.
Yeah, and again, this is one where critically, probably not in any critics' top 10 or whatever, but I just love this.
I disagree. I think it shows what football life was like in the 70s. My favorite
Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, my favorite part about North Dallas 40 was Nick Nolte's character getting up and his whole body cracking, because it really shows what a lot of those guys went through at that time, and shows why it's so important for the NFL to take care of those guys today. Yes,
and Mac Davis played the quintessential machine quarterback. He was part of the system.
Yep.
It was loosely based on Dallas Cowboys, obviously, as I said, where you've got a very stern coach and you've got to follow the system and do what you want. And Nick Nolte is a free spirit who was smoking marijuana, which you couldn't do during that time. And they were looking for a way to get him, even though when the moment called for it, who made the catch?
Yep.
It was Nick Nolte. I just love the movie. And it's not on often enough.
It's not. It's a great movie. It's definitely one I'll sit down and watch, which is why I say it's my number 11, but I couldn't put it on there. My number 8, Field of Dreams. We already went in depth about that one. My number 9, League of Their Own. We already talked about that. Your number 9, Tin Cup. I don't even know if that's in my top 15. I love the movie.
I love Tin Cup.
It's not a top 10 sports movie of all time.
Sure it is. I love Kevin Costner in that movie. By the way, is Kevin Costner the greatest sports movie actor of all time, or is he not?
He's in my number 10.
I know he is, and I love the movie you're going to talk about. But Tin Cup with Cheech Marin, Don Johnson, it's just a great movie. I love it.
It's a great movie.
He made it to the. I will admit that I have a problem with the fact that any player in their right mind who is in contention would drop down 6 or 7 balls until they get it over. And a 3-wood would not check back like that.
That's not my problem with the movie. The problem with the movie for me is the fact that the dude hits a 3-wood and the thing has so much backspin that a 3-wood's going to keep rolling forward. It's impossible for a 3-wood to roll like that.
If the water would have been on the other side and they would have had it roll through and onto that,
sure,
I'm good with that. But to have it back up like that, never happened.
Immediately out of my top 10, just for the fact that a 3-wood doesn't have backspin.
I still love the movie, so.
It's a good movie.
Okay.
Not a top 10. Not a top 10 by any means. My number 10 is another Kevin Costner movie. So I still have 2 Kevin Costner movies on here. And it's a movie that I believe is very underrated, and that's For the Love of the Game.
I love the movie. Oh my God, it's such a great. And for those of you who don't see it, it's about a guy facing the end of his career and just catches lightning in a bottle and is throwing a no-hitter. Perfect game.
I love how they go between the game and what happened, because he's reflecting on his life, reflecting on his career. John C. Reilly as the catcher is
brilliant.
Awesome. It's a movie role that gets forgotten for him a lot. Kevin Costner again is great in that, and
Kelly Preston has a girlfriend.
So good.
So good.
How he gets hurt and has to overcome that.
And what a jerk he was when he was first trying to come back off of injury, that he pushed Kelly Preston away to the point where she just said, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah. Well, exactly. And during that time, especially since it's based in the 90s, what was involved in that? Was he taking painkillers?
Guaranteed.
I guarantee there's some cut scenes in that movie where it talks about that side of things that they had to cut out, because his attitude, that's what it leads to.
I know that attitude.
So there's that side of it as well. And him, you could have thrown a whole recovery thing in there. But again, it's just a guy reflecting on his life. This is it. My game's done. And it's my number 10. Your number 10. I love this movie. It could have easily been in my top 10. The Replacements, another underrated movie. I don't think I've ever seen the actual real cut of this, just the TV version.
I don't know that I have either. I want to see it. Keanu Reeves is just brilliant in it.
Yep.
You had the strike year in football before you were born. These guys come in, and it's just showed what you can accomplish when you have nothing to lose. Another great Gene Hackman role.
Yep. Well, did you know Keanu Reeves took a pay cut so Gene Hackman could be in that movie?
I did not.
They just wanted Keanu. Apparently, Keanu Reeves does that in a lot of movies. He did that with Al Pacino as well. I don't remember the movie. Comment below. I don't remember off the top of my head. But he does that for a lot. So he took a pay cut.
Wonder if that would have been the devil. You played
the Devil's Advocate.
Devil's Advocate.
The Devil's Advocate. Yes.
Great movie. Another great movie. Not sports related, obviously, but Keanu Reeves is just that kind of guy that you just can't help but have respect for. Be a cool guy to talk to.
He's immortal.
I've never watched The Matrix.
No, for reals.
Okay.
He's immortal. They have a picture of him from like the 1600s.
They've got a lot of those kind of pictures. I showed you a picture from some relative of mine from 1910, and when I first saw it, it was like, oh my God.
That was really Keanu Reeves. He's immortal and comes back as different people. He's an entertainer throughout his entire life. He is 100% hundreds of years old, if not thousands of years old.
Alrighty then. So some movies that didn't make my list. There are movies like Glory Road.
Yeah, good movie.
Great movie about the UTEP team, first all-black team to make the NCAA tournament.
Yep.
What other ones did I have? I had The Rookie. That was honorable mention. I liked it. I like Dennis Quaid. I like that one.
I like Dennis Quaid. I just didn't like the movie.
I did. I mentioned Paper Lion, Moneyball. Neither one of us talked about.
Well, because it's a great movie, but Moneyball
is ruining baseball.
So I don't include it.
The Blind Side, neither one of us had it, and I think the one.
Blind Side was good.
The one movie that was in my top 10 originally, but I had to move it around. Slapshot.
I've never seen that movie.
Oh, it's a great movie. Such a good movie. I mean, Paul Newman. Great movie.
I've tried to watch it a few times.
It's a movie of its time.
I didn't like it. I couldn't sit through it. A movie that I left off that I was going to put on but couldn't was, speaking of hockey movies, is Goon.
Yes.
Have you seen that movie?
I haven't seen it, but I've heard about it.
It's a really good movie, and they have a second one too, which is also good. Not as good, but it's a very good movie, just about a hockey enforcer, and it's funny. I mean, it's not a critically acclaimed movie, and nor should it be, and it definitely doesn't belong in a top 10. But it's a great movie. I love it.
And then neither one of us talked about the Mighty Ducks.
Oh yeah, created a hockey team.
There was one movie that I almost put in. It never gets talked about. It's more of a documentary, When We Were Kings. It is the story about Ali and Frazier and during that time.
You told me about that movie. I've never seen it, though.
That was a great movie. Watched it a long time ago and loved it. The other one that I would have liked to have, I just thought about that I normally would have put in here. You've seen the movie Over the Top, haven't you?
Yes, I've seen Over the Top.
I like that movie.
I wouldn't qualify that as a sports movie.
If Dodgeball's a sports movie, Over the Top is a sports movie.
You got me there. I mean, Stallone carried that movie. It was great. The little kid in that movie was pretty over the top in his acting, and I guess fits into that role, but it was a good movie. I did enjoy it.
There was one other Stallone movie, was when he was in a prison camp or something. He was a soccer player. I can't think of the name of it. If anybody can think of it.
You know what movie we forgot?
I like that. Which one?
The Longest Yard is not on our list.
Oh my God.
One of our biggest debates.
Yeah, because the original was so much better than the remake.
No, the remake was definitely better than the original.
No, the remake was...
That's what I need your help with below in the comments, is to prove to this guy that the Longest Yard remake is better than the original. The original is great.
No, and I need my generation to step up and tell him that he's lame and ridiculous. Burt Reynolds, with Caretaker in that movie, was also the guy from Teen Wolf, the father in Teen Wolf. Just a much better movie. It was a rougher, more edgy movie. They didn't try to be funny, and it just naturally came. Eddie Albert was a prison guard. It was a great movie.
Listen, you lost your argument by using Teen Wolf as a reference to prove why it's a good movie.
No, I just said the guy from Teen Wolf was Caretaker in there, and he was brilliant. He was much better. Adam Sandler movies... He didn't do a good job on this one. It was a bad remake. Even if Burt Reynolds...
You had Chris Rock. You had Michael Irving in that movie. You had Nelly in that movie. You had Goldberg in that movie.
Yeah, and you had Jaws in the original. Jaws, the guy from... he played Jaws. Great big guy.
Old reference that I would never...
Anybody who's seen James Bond movie knows who I'm talking about. I wish I could think of the guy's name because he was... I think I broke his freaking neck. Great. The original was... far and away the better of those two movies.
I hope you enjoyed that clip of Sports Talk with Dad. If you enjoyed that clip, I know you'll enjoy this clip. And if you enjoy all of our clips, check out a full episode right here. And one last thing I need from you to make sure I can keep Jobu stocked with rum and keep Pogo here on the payroll, subscribe right up here.